what you can do about communism. The problem communism presents is so enormous that it's very easy to experience a sense of frustration and helplessness and believe that an individual is powerless to do anything to stop the communist advance, and so the entire responsibility must be left to the government. This attitude is wrong and is itself a significant asset to the communist cause. I think we should remind ourselves of the well-known statement, "I am only one, but I am one. I cannot do everything, but I can do something. That which I can do, I should do. And that which I should do, by the grace of God, I will do." Once we have the willingness and the determination to do what we can to stop the advance of communism, we're confronted with the practical problem of knowing just what to do. I suggest that the individual program against communism can be summarized under three headings. 1, comprehension; 2, character; and 3, conduct. The first essential for an effective program against communism is to understand the problem, to understand the nature of communism, what it is, how it works, its techniques of manipulation, deception, and conquest. And only on the foundation of such understanding is it possible to develop an effective anti-communism program. Frequently I've been asked what I consider to be the greatest asset communism possesses, and I've never had any hesitation as to what my reply should be. It has always been ignorance. Ignorance is far more helpful to communism than disloyalty or treason. The most dedicated anti-communist can be transformed into a faithful servant of communism by ignorance of the nature and methods of the communists who are his enemies. A program which is designed without an understanding of the nature of communism is almost certain to fail. So I would suggest the first responsibility of any individual is to take the time to study the nature of communism and to inform himself thoroughly. Today many people think that this is quite unnecessary. They believe that a program of positive virtue is adequate to combat communism. And we always hear people say we must be positive. What is your positive program? Our positive program begins with knowledge of the nature of communism. Just as a positive medical program to combat a disease must begin with an understanding of the pathology of that disease, so a program to combat communism must begin with an understanding of the doctrines, the organization, the philosophy, the methods, and the objectives of communism. There is no substitute for this. Let's take a simple illustration. If you are in the market for an automobile and an individual comes to you and tries to sell you an automobile which is most suitable for your purposes, he's very likely to be successful. Let's assume that there's only one thing wrong with this automobile. It is stolen. Everything else about it is right. The make is right, the model is right, the price is right. But since it's stolen, very shortly after you've purchased it, the police are going to pay you a visit take the automobile, and you will have lost both the automobile and your money. What program would be effective to protect you against falling into this trap? I suggest that very few positive virtues would help very much. You could be patriotic to the nth degree, but that wouldn't help very much. You could be dedicated to free enterprise and opposed to socialism. Make sure that you got the product at an excellent price. That wouldn't help you very much. You could make sure that the car was in excellent condition by taking it to the finest mechanic and giving it a thorough overhaul. That would not help you very much. You could even be a fine Christian and love the man who was deceiving you. That would not help much. The program that would be most effective in protecting you against the trap that was laid for you would be the knowledge that the car is stolen. Communism is advancing across the world selling a stolen bill of goods. They don't go to the people to sell communist doctrine and communist dictatorship and communist class war and class liquidation. Oh no. They sell peace when all they have is war. They sell liberation when all they have is slavery. They sell democracy when all they have is dictatorship. And you can possess every positive virtue known to man. If you do not understand that the communist is selling a stolen bill of goods, that he is practicing deceit, you can be deceived and enslaved. So the first thing is to become informed, thoroughly informed, concerning the nature and the processes of communism. Such knowledge, however, is merely the first step, and taken by itself, it may not achieve very much. It must be translated into a program of action. And more than that, the character and the ability to act must be present. Knowledge by itself may lead to pessimism, paralysis. So along with this knowledge, the second essential is a character of moral strength with strong moral principles and values and a desire to preserve these principles. In the final analysis, the battle of communism, or the battle with communism, is a moral battle. It is a question of character. It depends upon whether we are determined to value and preserve basic individual liberty and the qualities of righteousness, law-abiding citizenship. If we accept the principle that this life, and this life only, is the total value, that no value is greater than life itself, therefore no cause is worthy of surrendering life, communist victory becomes inevitable. The communist program for the conquest of the United States is expressed by the formula external encirclement plus internal demoralization equals progressive surrender. And should American youth reach the point of demoralization when personal indulgence and personal pleasure becomes the final goal of life, surrender to the encircling communist might becomes a predictable certainty. Therefore, everyone who is opposed to communism must face the moral question of where they stand, what they believe about God and Christ and human liberty. What are the most important issues of life? And this resolves itself into a religious question. And Christians can affirm the moral precepts of their faith. And this gives a rationale and a strength against the encircling communist foe. It's not much good to have all the moral qualities of decadence that the communists desire and associate this with an intellectual antagonism to communism. We need the highest moral standards to defeat communism. One standard most essential today is self-discipline and respect for law and order and constituted authority. Once we have the foundation of comprehension and character, then we can proceed with a program of action. This program should be designed to inform others concerning the truth of communism and to participate in full citizenship so that the community may be strengthened. People may be informed through the establishment of study groups, through the distribution of literature, through personal conversation. We can also inform our legislators concerning our opinions. This is truly a great privilege, a privilege that we don't appreciate, but it's a privilege that is enjoyed by very few people throughout the world. We should make sure that the truth about communism is taught in schools and throughout the institutions of society. People are being deceived and seduced. And since human nature is tuned to freedom, not slavery, when they know the truth about communism, they will spurn it. Think of the enormous possibilities. If you can dedicate your life to understanding virtue and the telling of the truth, and each week recruit another person, say this week you recruit another one, the following week the two of you each recruit another one, that makes 4. The following week the 4 recruit another one, that makes 8. By this process, everyone in the world can be reached in 32 weeks. It's not hopeless. Communism can and will be defeated. If you desire a printed copy of the